Voting, the process of expressing your opinion or choice in a formal way, is a cornerstone of democratic government. One of the earliest forms of voting could be found in the 5th century BCE in Athens, a cultural and economic powerhouse of the era. Eligible citizens who were free men who could physically attend the assembly voted on issues ranging from whether to go to war to handing down verdicts in criminal trials. This process, where decisions were made by a simple show of hands, was known as a direct democracy. However, the democratic government of Athens was something of an exception. For centuries afterwards, it was usually monarchs with power derived from birthright or religion who ruled over lands and people. The 18th century and the Enlightenment saw the re-emergence and modernization of the ideas of democracy. Thinkers like John Locke argued that rulers should derive their legitimacy from the people they ruled, not from divine birthright. By then, however, states had become far too big to govern by direct democracy. So, the idea of a representative democracy took its place. In a representative democracy, citizens vote for or elect other citizens to represent them and make decisions on their behalf. Today, most democracies across the world are representative democracies, although direct democracies do exist in some countries, such as Switzerland. The voting process, however, differs greatly between countries. Let's compare the United States and Australia. Citizens of the United States vote for a considerable number of civic roles, ranging from their county sheriff all the way up to the U.S. president. In Australia, elections are usually held only for decision-making roles in local councils and state and federal parliaments. In the U.S., voting is voluntary, whereas in Australia, it is compulsory or mandatory under the law to vote. The dominant form of voting in the U.S. is called first past the post. This means the candidate who receives the most votes, or a simple majority, is elected. Australia uses preferential voting, where voters rank their candidates in order of choice. Throughout history, and even today, representative democracies have not been as representative as their name suggests. For much of history, women have not been given the right to vote. In fact, New Zealand was the first country to give women the vote, and that happened in 1893. Historically, certain groups have been blocked from voting due to race or gender. For example, in the U.S., one of the main goals of the 1960s civil rights movement was to pass a federal law requiring all states to grant Black Americans equal voting rights. Across the world, people below the age of 18 are not allowed to vote. This means that young people cannot voice their opinions on decisions that may affect them. In 2022, New Zealand's Supreme Court ruled that the country's voting age of 18 was discriminatory, and its politicians promised to consider lowering the age to 16. Although representative democracy is the most common form of democracy around the world today, there are many variations in the details of how it is implemented. However, the basic idea remains the same. Citizens vote for representatives to make decisions on their behalf.
If you liked this video, you can find it and so many more at clickview.net. Sign up for free today.